what was your bout with COVID like? What did you experience? You know, beginning, middle stages, coming out, like briefly take us through what you experienced when you caught COVID-19. How severe was it, et cetera?
It was really interesting because I did a show. My last show before everything shut down was in Ketchum, Idaho. And that was one of the hot spots very early on. And we didn't know. And I came home and you started hearing the rumblings of what was going on. My wife and I were like, listen, we need to go out and stock the house up. That unfortunately was the day that Tom Hanks and his wife came down. Rudy Gobert came down. They shut the NBA down. And I looked at my wife while we were in the store and I said, I didn't feel well. And she said, you know, what is it? I said, I'm feeling a little achy. She said, go home and take a shower. And I vaguely remember the next 14 days of my life. I remember going to the doctor. I don't even remember how I got there. You know, my wife took me. They diagnosed me with double pneumonia. They sent me home, told me to be very, very careful. The irony was I had a very close friend, maybe about 2 weeks before that, pass away from pneumonia. So that stuck into my head. In the beginning, I had no clue that this was COVID. It wasn't until I went through a very extreme, like my wife really started making phone calls to my family and my close friends that she didn't know if I was going to make it because I hadn't eaten, I hadn't spoken for about 10 days.
Are you really?
Yeah, it was
really, that rough.
It was really, really bad. And I didn't realize how bad it was until I asked her for something to eat. And I took a spoonful of soup and looked over and she was in the corner crying because I hadn't eaten for 10 days. I would ask her for something to eat. She would bring me my food and I would just sit there and look at it. And this is all me not knowing how sick I was, but it wasn't until a journalist from the New York Times called and asked my wife how I was feeling, because it wasn't in public that I was sick yet, but he was asking how I was feeling because it was 50 to 75 people in Ketchum, Idaho who passed away from the virus. And that's how we kind of linked, you know, what I was going through together. But health-wise, it was the worst thing that I've ever gone through. Mentally, it was the worst thing that I've ever gone through because, you know, I was extremely terrified because being one of the people that got a chance to experience the full brunt of this virus and still be here, I automatically became an advocate of making sure that people stayed in the house, wore their masks, and did the things that was absolutely needed, because I know how a lot of us don't believe things until it happens.
Exactly.
And this, unfortunately, was one of those things that you don't want to wait until it happens because there's no guarantee that you're going to come through it. So you just really wanted to, you know, get a megaphone as loud as you can to let people know, you know, listen, I went through this. This was really, really bad. You need to take this very, very serious, you know, so it doesn't happen to you.